Which way is it crooked? The other way now? Yeah. Yeah, because it looks a little crooked. So. Okay. Let me practice this a few more times. Okay. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the 3 referenda, and in November they'll decide whether they want to put reapportionment into the hands of a nonpartisan commission. Even if all the measures passed, most politicians agree that present district lines will stick. Mary Bird, News 12 at the Capitol. Did you hear that, the finished product? Tonight whether to pass the 3 referenda, and in November they'll decide whether they want to put reapportionment into the hands of a nonpartisan commission. Even if all the measures pass, most politicians agree that for now the present district lines are sticking.
Yeah, the present. Yeah.
For now, the present district lines. No, I won't say for now. Most politicians agree that the present district lines are staying.
Yeah.
If all the measures pass, most politicians agree. Even if all the measures pass, most politicians agree that the present district lines are staying. Mary Bird, News 12 at the Capitol. At the state capitol. Okay. 12 in the right place. I want 12 in the front. Okay. Take 1. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the referenda, and in November they'll decide if they want a nonpartisan commission to decide. Sorry. Take 2. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the referenda, and in November they'll decide if they should put reapportionment. They want to put reapportionment into the hands. You can stop it because I'm whether to pass the referenda. Going? Do you want me to move or anything? Okay. Take 3. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the referenda, and in November they'll decide whether to put reapportionment into the hands of a nonpartisan commission. Even if all those measures pass, most politicians agree that the present district lines are here to stay. Mary Bird at the state capitol. Take 4. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the 3 referenda, and in November they'll decide whether to put reapportionment into the hands of a nonpartisan commission. Even if all those measures passed, most politicians. Take 5. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass. I'm sorry. Take 6. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the referenda, and in November they'll decide whether they want to put reapportionment into the hands of a nonpartisan commission. Even if all those measures pass, most politicians agree that the present district lines are here to stay. Mary Bird, News 12 at the state capitol. Do it one more time. Take 7. 3, 2, 1. Voters are deciding tonight whether to pass the referenda, and in November they'll decide whether they want to put reapportionment into the hands of a nonpartisan commission. Even if all those measures pass, most politicians agree that the present district lines are here to stay. Mary Bird, News 12 at the state capitol. Oh, nice. Okay, take 1. 3, 2, 1. Not all of the buttons were for campaigns. Some have political messages like this one, telling the Iranians that Americans will never be taken hostage again. Take 2. 3, 2, 1. Not all of the buttons are for campaigns. Some carry political messages like this one, telling the Iranians that Americans will never be taken hostages again. Good evening. The long-eared Mediterranean fruit flies in the San Joaquin Valley. 3 fertile male flies have been found in Westlake, that's about 3 miles from San Joaquin County lines. Aerial spraying of the area begins tonight. Here in San Joaquin County, agricultural officials are very concerned. Now there are no natural barriers between the latest finds and our county's crops. But if the latest outbreak was bad news for agricultural officials, there was some good news. This afternoon, roadblocks went up along Interstates 580 and 680 to make sure no more medfly-infested fruit finds its way into the San Joaquin Valley. But if agricultural officials were happy with that decision, drivers stuck for nearly an hour in traffic snarls caused by those checkpoints were not. Several said they didn't understand why their cars had to be checked. Others said they weren't aware of a mudfly threat. Agricultural officials are blaming the latest outbreak in Wesley on car travelers. Meanwhile, health officials in San Joaquin County fear another kind of outbreak. The health district is concerned about high rates of tuberculosis and malaria found in recently arrived Indo-Chinese refugees. 9 active cases of tuberculosis and 5 of malaria have been found since the beginning of this year. But what health officials fear even more is that some of those diseases may go uncured, triggering outbreaks in our general population. District Director Dr. Jack Williams says nurses have a hard time tracking down refugees. Families sponsored by an area agency are routinely examined, but unsponsored second and third migrations of families often go unchecked. And there's another problem once the disease has been diagnosed. Dr. Williams says because of language barriers, refugees are not following their medical advice. The condition of an off-duty sheriff's deputy shot in the head and face is improved following surgery today. Hospital officials say Abdullah Rodriguez is now in serious but stable condition. Rodriguez was shot outside Pepe's Club in East Stockton last night following an argument over the county jail where Rodriguez worked until 1980. Well, after a lot of arguing, the city council postponed hearing a liquor appeal for a downtown grocery store. The council plans to make their decision in January. Now, that's when the Planning Commission should have finished zoning blueprints reflecting a revitalization plan recently adopted by the city. And you won't have to worry about getting a ticket on your car when the street sweeper comes to clean. The council voted not to impose fines because the system would be too expensive to enforce. Instead, car owners will continue to be reminded to move their cars on cleaning days. And that's news. I'm Mary Bird. Have a nice evening. The highest water of the season. That's what faced people who live in the Delta today. Although Northern California received some of the heaviest rainfall in its history, runoff was still not enough to cause any major problems here. But now 2 more serious dangers face the levees: critically high tides on Friday and Saturday and strong gusty winds. With the heavy rains gone, most people here feel relatively safe from Delta levee breaks through critical periods this weekend. That is, if gusty winds like these don't persist. If they do, some flooding is inevitable. Today, gale-force winds pounded against the levees, causing some leaks throughout the system. Crews from the California Conservation Corps gathered on Andros Island, then were dispersed to low-lying areas to begin the task of sandbagging. Meanwhile, engineers who keep close tabs on the levees are trying to remain optimistic.
It looks like this weekend's going to be the real test. If we can get through this weekend, we have a 7.2 tide on the books, and with that added to runoff, if we don't get additional accelerated runoffs and more rain and high winds, why, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape through this weekend. Tides tomorrow will be higher than today and continuously higher through Saturday and Sunday. It will be the most critical test of the levees this year. Mary Bird, TV 10 Eyewitness News in the Delta. It's mid-afternoon, and by now, former prison guard Beverly Sconiers and inmate Rick Ferris should have been married. Yet at this time, Beverly retains her maiden name, and Rick is still single. The marriage was canceled just 2 hours before it was to have taken place at the request of the minister.
The pastor who was going to perform the wedding called in and said that he didn't think that the bride and groom had been totally honest with him when they asked him to do the wedding, and he felt that in good conscience he couldn't perform the wedding if they weren't being honest with him.
The pastor wouldn't talk with us, but prison officials said he was disturbed that a former guard was marrying an inmate. Upset, disappointed, the would-be groom this afternoon said he couldn't believe that the minister himself would be the one to cancel the wedding.
I haven't done anything wrong here. His words to me were, he feels this is wrong for us two to be married, that we've broken rules, and the situation is taboo. And there aren't any departmental rules that I know of that stop two people from falling in love, or rules governing me that say I don't have the right to be happy, to find a life, pursue it. And I can't get anybody to tell me really why.
To complicate the wedding plans, Ferris may soon be transferred to Southern California. Although he's been a model prisoner, security risks and being married to a former guard warrant the transfer. And although there's a couple of single folks here in San Joaquin County who would have liked to have been married by now, they're not giving up hope. And now the search is on for a minister who will come to Dual to perform what has become a controversial wedding. Mary Bird, TV 10 Eyewitness News, Dual Vocational Institute near Tracy.
A lot of eggs were tossed on the side lawn, some successfully, some not. Kids competing for the champion egg juggler didn't seem to mind when a few eggs splattered on them. At least most everyone.
It's gross. Because if you juggle raw eggs, if you throw them up real high and you catch them in your hand, it splatters all over the place.
Did you break a lot of eggs this morning?
Not very many.
Do you think it's a lot of fun?
Yeah.
Broke 2 eggs and cracked 1.
Was it a little messy?
Yeah, I broke one on my hand, broke one on my shirt. But other than that, it was, like, I kind of thought it was fun.
The winners juggled the most eggs the longest, and the grand prize, a blue ribbon and a Guinness Book of World Records. The kids went through 4 dozen eggs in nearly 25 minutes this morning, and library officials say they had so much fun they may try it again. Mary Bird, News Force 29. Grasses and shrubs are plentiful this year, covering the foothill areas of the North State. The heavy rains last winter mean grass and brush are growing thicker and taller. But as this area turns from green to gold, a sign that it's lost its moisture, it will become highly combustible. But that's not all. Heavy snows caused branches like this to fall to the ground last winter. Now, they're fuel for forest fires. The debris is thickest at higher elevations with more snow. Coupled with strong winds, several parts of the North State could become likely targets for major forest fires. To make matters worse, the California Department of Forestry, the main agency which battles fires, has fallen victim to budget cuts.
The Buckhorn Fire Station was closed, and the Whitmore Fire Station was taken from a 2-engine station to 1 engine. And so that's 3 less engines that we have for initial attack here in the Ranger unit. It means we're going to have to call them in from farther away, and the delay in time will make some difference.
CDF officials blame humans for 90% of all fires. They're asking people to be extra cautious when burning debris or setting campfires. Mary Bird, News 12, Shasta County. Resort owners couldn't be happier. For the first time in several years, Shasta Lake is filled to the brim. The weather is also beautiful. The skies are clear and temperatures are warm. The combination means thousands of people will flock to the lake for their 3-day weekend, while they'll camp, water ski, fish, and relax in the sunshine. The 27 resorts which dot the shoreline of the lake are frantically getting ready for the crowd.
Well, we're doing our road work now, and of course our docks, getting our docks health and safety wise, preparing our boats and getting them ready to go, and checking for health and safety, make sure that we all have all our safety requirements.
Houseboat rentals are sold out, but campsites, trailer spaces, and cabin rentals are still available. And for people who just want to spend a day boating, all 10 government launches will be open. Resort officials are expecting 2,000 boats this weekend, but they say there won't be any major traffic jams on the water, and hopefully no boating accidents. Mary Bird, News 12 on Shasta Lake. Larry White says he isn't an avid bike rider. He just loves to work on them. That must be the case